I'm Susana Mendoza, and yes, I'm running for mayor.
Who is Susana Mendoza? Hold me accountable. Remember, I try to cite my sources as often as I can, but make sure I'm telling you the truth. If you think I'm wrong, put it down in the description down below in a thoughtful, productive way. If you're right, I'll be sure to respond and edit the description with a correction. But keep in mind this dirty little secret about some campaigns. If they feel like there's bad press about their candidate, they'll send over volunteers to make negative comments and delegitimize the source. Our job as citizens is to figure out who's acting in good faith and who's not. So be critical of the comments and me. Now that you're appropriately paranoid, let's get back to the episode. I'm in Archer Heights, home of Illinois' first House district. In 2000, Susana was elected to be the state representative of this district when she was only 28, making her the youngest member of the General Assembly. She served as a state rep for 10 years until 2011. It was during this time that she had some problematic views on criminal justice reform, but I'll get into that later. Let's start with the positives. Susana, what's one of the bills you're proudest of as a state rep?
One of the bills that I'm proudest of is a school breakfast initiative that I was able to pass in the legislature on my first try.
It was a pretty cool bill. If you went to an Illinois school where 40% or more of the students were eligible for a free or reduced lunch, you were provided a free breakfast.
Anywhere where there's a child who is in a poor district, who is hungry, they're no longer going to have to be hungry because they're going to have breakfast given to them.
That's from a campaign video for when she ran and eventually won to be the first woman elected to be Chicago City Clerk in 2011. In that way, she was a trailblazer. As a city clerk, she passed legislation that I personally value a lot. It was a measure reducing animal abuse by banning the sales of dogs, cats, and rabbits from puppy mills in retail stores in Chicago. Susana also prioritized making her office tech savvy and created the city clerk's first ever customer call center. Another accomplishment that she cites is her work in streamlining city vehicle sticker sales. Instead of only being able to buy and renew city stickers during a 6-week window, she made the system work year-round, saving a lot of headaches. She was also vocally against a sticker price increase that Ron proposed in his first budget as mayor. But her work with city vehicle stickers is also problematic. She hiked the price of citations for not having a required vehicle sticker. Citations were disproportionately issued in Chicago's black neighborhoods. There are countless stories of drivers getting multiple tickets in the same day for not having a city sticker. Because this affected Chicago's poorest residents, unpaid city sticker tickets combined with late penalties and collection fees led to an explosion in bankruptcies. Susana owned up to the mistake. Obviously, it doesn't make sense to give tickets and tickets and tickets to people who can't afford to pay. It's important that we see what the consequences of policies are. Sometimes they're terrible. In 2016, Susana ran and won to be Illinois' controller. She basically became the chief financial officer of the state. As controller, Susana did some good work fighting against Governor Bruce Rauner's agenda. Her biggest accomplishment was working to pass the Debt Transparency Act. It mandated agencies to give monthly reports for the debts they owed instead of annual reports that weren't very helpful. She also took lead in the Truth in Hiring Act, which made the governor present accurate budgets on the cost of his staff. Her long history in Illinois politics makes her a legitimate candidate in this race, but she also carries a lot of serious baggage. As a state representative, Susana was known for being tough on crime. In the early 2000s, her most controversial bill was the last expansion of the death penalty in Illinois, which made gang members automatically eligible for the death penalty. The bill was opposed by then State Senator Barack Obama, the ACLU, and Reverend Jesse Jackson. With the criminal justice system so stacked against communities of color, I think this bill only targeted Chicago's most vulnerable communities. Susana claims that she since has had a change of heart about the death penalty. Her defense is consistent. Yes, I did support the death penalty, but I was the deciding vote on abolishing the death penalty in the state of Illinois. It would still be there had I not voted to abolish it. She's playing games. In 2011, the House vote to abolish the death penalty passed with the bare minimum 60 votes necessary. All votes were the deciding vote, not just hers. But there's something more sinister that I don't see a lot of people talking about when it comes to her stance on the death penalty. When she voted to abolish the death penalty in 2011, she made remarks on the House floor explaining her change of heart. She closed her speech by saying that because there's always a possibility of executing an innocent person, she couldn't defend the death penalty. But the scary part to me is how she viewed the lives of those who are guilty. Here's what she said verbatim at the top of her remarks. I want to leave no doubt that I feel no compassion or see any value whatsoever in the lives of the truly guilty on death row. I could administer the death penalty myself to a cop killer or serial murderer and sleep like a baby at night if I knew without a doubt of their guilt. As a matter of fact, I believe that our current manner of executing the guilty in Illinois is much too compassionate and shows respect for life where the killer had none. I believe that a sanitized death is too kind and that the guilty should die in a much harsher manner, truer to the crimes they committed. I know this may sound cruel to some of you, but it pales in comparison to the cruelty inflicted upon so many innocent victims by these murderous animals.
Listen, I don't care where you stand on the death penalty. These words haunt me. A sanitized death is too kind and the guilty should die in a much harsher manner. That's horrific. I don't think that's who we are as a society.
Susana's also been criticized for her connections to establishment leaders. Her start in politics is attributed to the HDO, the Hispanic Democratic Organization.
The HDO was a political machine created by the instruction of Richard M. Daley in the 90s to target and remove progressive independent Latinos in power. The HDO ran slates of Daley-friendly candidates and succeeded in defeating then State Senator Chuy Garcia and some of his allies in what kind of felt like an ambush. Susana was a clear benefactor from the HDO, and progressive Latinos haven't forgiven her for it.
The HDO was eventually shut down when multiple of their officials were convicted for corruption.
Also remember Ed Burke, the alderman charged for extortion? Her first victory as state rep was also largely in part because of Ed's support of her. She'll say otherwise today, but hear it directly from her.
Thank you all so very, very much, Alderman Burke. You are a true champion of mine. He is really primarily the reason why I even stand before you today.
In fact, Susana got married in Ed's home in 2011. Ed played the piano and entertained guests at her wedding. But her most prominent connection to the Illinois political machine, that goes to Illinois Speaker of the House, Michael J. Madigan. Mike has been the Speaker of the House for more than 30 years and the chairman of the Illinois Democratic Party since 1998. Some consider him to be the most powerful man in Illinois, even more so than the governor himself.
Mike's mentor was Mayor Richard J. Daley, and he's continued the old mayor's lessons in patronage. If you try to stand up to Mike, be ready to lose campaign dollars, committee chairmanships, the ability to get bills passed, and maybe even your job.
I think this style of leadership keeps Mike in power at the expense of regular Illinoisans. He's been the king of arguably the most dysfunctional state in the country for more than a quarter of a century. In the blue state of Illinois, his approval rating is worse than Donald Trump.
But Susana has been his protege. In 2011, Susana seconded Mike Madigan's nomination as Speaker and was quite flattering.
It's also my sincere honor to second the nomination of Michael J. Madigan for Speaker of the Illinois House of Representatives. He's a brilliant politician, tactician, and public servant, and a great man whose commitment to Illinois is only matched by that to his family. While many may aspire to be like him, there is only one Michael J. Madigan.
I hope not a lot of people aspire to be like Mike Madigan.
And it doesn't stop there.
Susana was the co-chairman in Rahm Emanuel's re-election campaign in 2015. After she won her re-election campaign for controller this year, some Rahm staffers and allies began uniting around her. Progressives say Susana represents Rahm's third term. Chuy Garcia was blunt. Look at her history, look at her voting record. It's not a very nice one. Past proves future. She's not a reformer. There was also this weird time in 2008 when she endorsed a guy running for Congress named Aaron Schock.
In politics today, Aaron Schock is a breath of fresh air.
I'm Aaron Schock, and I approve this message.
Side note, Aaron ended up resigning in 2015 after the Washington Post discovered that his office had been lavishly redecorated on the taxpayer's dime in the style of Downton Abbey.
Illinois Congressman and Doogie Howser wannabe Aaron Schock, famous for his Downton Abbey style office and pimped out Instagram feed, has come to a decision.
Congressman Aaron Schock is resigning from Congress.
That's Illinois politics.
But the real story is that Aaron Schock was a Republican running against a Democrat, which begs the question.
Is Susana Mendoza secretly a Republican?
No, Susana's a Democrat. She endorsed Aaron and eventually got his support when she ran for city clerk in 2011. I think she wanted to show that she had a bipartisan record. But her endorsement of Aaron speaks to a larger, more troubling trend of her making alliances with the political machine throughout her career.
And she doesn't really hide her connections to the Chicago machine.
On her own website, she has an article from NPR that reads, she calls fellow Democrats Ed Burke, a Chicago alderman, and Illinois House Speaker Michael Madigan political mentors, while drawing support from the likes of U.S. Rep. Aaron Schock, a conservative Republican from Peoria, who struck up a friendship with Mendoza when the two served in the State House.
So that's Susana. the good and the bad.
Part of this show is about me sharing my thoughts and opinions about candidates and issues, and I want to make that really clear that what I'm about to say is just my opinion. And I'm just a regular Chicagoan, so I'm not really sure how much that's worth, but here it is. When I first heard Susana Mendoza speak several years ago, I remember just thinking to myself, wow, she is an incredible speaker. And the more I followed her, the more I realized she has this incredible warm and authentic personality that makes her really likable.
Uno, dos, tres.
Fast.
Oh, holy beep, 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 beep. Oh my God.
But how do I feel about her candidacy? Here's what I'll say. If you're happy with the way things are run in Chicago, Susana Mendoza is the right candidate for you. But if you're looking for change, keep looking.
If you found this video helpful, please like and share this video. This is a web series that's entirely funded by you, the viewers, so if you'd like to donate, please go to my Patreon page. Until next time.